So, hungry for more scripture? Alright guys, thank you for checking out my channel. Everybody who subscribed, like, or leave comments, you're definitely appreciated. Everybody who's just viewing, you're appreciated too. Thank you for checking me out. Today we're doing part 2 of when the Mashiach is quoting the Septuagint version, or maybe what the Septuagint version was written off of compared to the KJV. So let's get straight into it. Alright guys, we're going to start off at Luke chapter 4 and verse 18. The Ruach of Yah is upon me, because he hath anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. He hath sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to preach deliverance to the captives, and recovering of sight to the blind, to set at liberty them that are bruised. Alright guys, so with this one, I would just like to point out, before I go through these, if somebody's going to quote something or say it is written, I'm sure that they're quoting exactly how it is. Like I said in the last video, a direct quote. So here we have the Mashiach open up the book and goes into the book of Isaiah. But let's go to it ourselves in the KJV. Isaiah 61 in verse 1. The Ruach of Adonai Elohim is upon me, because the Adonai hath anointed me to preach good tidings unto the meek. He hath sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, and the opening of the prison to them that are bound. Alright, like I said in the last video, guys, remember to check that out. You really have to be watching what is being said and compare it to the scriptures. I remember seeing this, or somebody showing me in the scriptures where it said that and said, look, the Mashiach is quoting this about himself. And I was like, okay, yeah. But if somebody is reading something, you should really check word for word to make sure that it lines up, or that it in most ways are almost exact. But let's check it out in the Septuagint. The Ruach of Adonai is upon me, because he has anointed me. He has sent me to preach glad tidings to the poor, to heal the broken in heart, to proclaim liberty to the captives, and the recovery of sight to the blind, to declare the acceptable year of the Adonai. Alright guys, so you can see here, with the KJV and then the Septuagint, one is missing a piece. And that is the recovery of sight to the blind. Let's look at it again. See, within the KJV, even look for it. Don't just take my word for it. Look it up for yourselves in the KJV. It doesn't have the recovery of sight. If somebody's reading it, why is that there, or is he just throwing it in there? But in the Septuagint, you see it actually has the recovery of sight to the blind. But I'm not going to make you wait. Let's continue on. We got Matthew chapter 12 in verse 20 through 21. And it reads, a bruised reed shall not break, and smoking flax shall he not quench, till he send forth judgment unto victory, and in his name shall the Gentiles trust. Alright, so I'm not going to use this whole verse here, but I'm going to show you the key piece of what's different, or where you can connect it to. So, the scripture that we're going to connect it to is in Isaiah 42. In verse 4, it reads, he shall not fail, nor be discouraged, till he have set judgment in the earth, and the isles shall wait for his law. Unless you go to the table of nations, you may not even know what the isles are. According to the table of nations, it says that the Gentiles pretty much inhabit the isles of the Gentiles. But anywho, Isaiah 42 in verse 4 in the Septuagint reads, he shall shine out and shall not be discouraged, until he have set judgment on the earth, and in his name shall the Gentiles trust. All right, guys, so you can see from the end of Matthew and the end of verse 4 in Isaiah, like both of them say, is the Gentiles shall trust in his name. But it's not there in the KJV. Is there a little funny business that's going on? Maybe so. But let's continue. We're going to go to Luke chapter 3 and verse 4. And it reads, as it is written in the book of the words of Isaiah, the prophet, saying, the voice of one crying in the wilderness, prepare ye the way of the Adonai, making his path straight. I can dig it. But let's continue on to the book of Isaiah. Chapter 40 and verse 3 in the KJV. The voice of him that crieth in the wilderness, prepare ye the way of the Adonai, make straight in the desert a highway for our Elohim. Alright, so for the most part, that's spot on. I say it links up, but at the end, what's up with the desert? I don't know. You guys be the judge. Make sure that as I'm going through this, you guys are doing your own due diligence, looking at it in the Septuagint. If you have it, is free ones online, or if you have the book, look at it. And then if you have the KJV, make sure you're looking at it. Don't just take my word for it. In the Septuagint, it reads, the voice of one crying in the wilderness, prepare ye the way of the Adonai, make straight the paths of our Elohim. Alright, so that one falls more in line with what Luke had. Alright guys, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Let's continue dialoguing about the scriptures. No arguments. Let's just discuss it and move on. Shalom.